Okay, so I'm going to start on the homework for 3.2, just chain rule and something or other. Most important part is chain rule anyway. So I went ahead and put what chain rule actually equals, how you're supposed to do it, because I'm still trying to make sense of it a little bit myself. So I know it's probably confusing to everybody. So, chain rule states that in order to find the derivative of a function within a function, aka a composite function, you have to take f prime of g of x times g prime of x. So, what that means is for this one, it is the entire thing. For this one, it is just whatever is within parentheses, typically. So I'm just going to put dot, 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 because we haven't started a problem yet. That's what it means. Being able to figure out which one is the inside versus the outside is, this is the inside, this is the outside for everything. Okay? So we have our first problem that I got on the homework on the practice. So I have this right here. Find the derivative for the given function. Write your answer using positive and negative exponents and fractional exponents instead of radicals. So it doesn't want us to break down this 4/3 exponent. It just wants us to leave that basically alone. It doesn't want us to make it the third root or whatever. It doesn't want us to do that. So here's how you set that up. So number one, always start with writing your problem. Even if you think you don't need it, you are less likely to make a mistake if you write down your problem wherever you're going to work it. So f of x equals, parentheses are important, 9x negative to the negative second plus 3x minus 4, all raised to the 4/3 power. Okay. Let me see. Let me zoom this in a little more. Okay. So, in doing that, your whole thing, which I'm going to put in red, is going to be this whole thing right here. Your blue is just this right here. So your g prime of x, you only use the inside. Your f prime of g of x, you use the entire thing. So don't ask me why, because I don't know. I don't know why this is the only way it works, but I can tell you how to work it. So in this case, like we always do with derivatives, so f prime is going to be 4/3, because you multiply it times whatever is in the front, and there is an understood 1 there. So 4/3 times everything in the middle all raised to 4/3 minus 1. So 4/3 minus 3/3 leaves us with 1/3. So that's our f prime. That's it. We don't have to touch that again. Sometimes you will, but very rarely. And the only thing you would have to change or touch is whatever constant is in the front. So this 4/3, if the derivative of g prime, or if the derivative that you find for g prime is just a whole number with no x or anything like that. If it's just a number, then you would multiply the 4/3 times that number. Okay, so our g prime is going to be the derivative of the inside. So the derivative of the inside, you do 9 times -2, which gives you -18x. -2 minus 1 is -3, plus 3, because your exponent on your second variable x is an understood 1, and your -4 would just go away because it has no x attached to it. So those are what you're working with. Okay, so like we said, you do your f prime of g of x times your g prime of x. In this case, there's not a whole lot that you can do. The only things you can do are to put it like this. Which means the exact same thing. I tend to leave my parentheses just in case. In this case, you cannot multiply out your 4/3 because everything is attached to a variable. Okay, now if it wants you to rewrite this, the only thing it's really going to have you do is rewrite it like this. And once again, these mean the exact same thing. Okay, so this one would be -18 over x to the third plus 3. That means the exact same thing. It just depends on how it wants you to answer the question. And this first one would be a really long, complicated nonsense. Still over 3, still with your 1/3. Since it did say it doesn't want radicals, I'm not going to break down how to put it back into a radical. It would just be the cube root of everything in the middle. But it doesn't want that, and I doubt it would want that on the test. So we still leave our 4 because that's there. We just, if it wants anything, it would want you to get rid of the negative, but it did say to use both. I'm going to show you anyway. So this one would be 9 over x squared plus 3x minus 4, and that's it. That is the most it should ask you to do. Okay? So, and of course it logs me out right as I do that. So give me 1 second before we check this answer against what it gives me. Okay. So I'm going to put this in, and we're going to hope. Okay. So I'm going to pull this back up. Like I said, I always use my parentheses. So I'm going to do the first one that we did. So this one that's not covered up, I'm going to do that one because it did say it wanted negative exponents. So it should tell you if there is something used that you do not need. Oh, that's right. I put that in the wrong place. See, it told me that I didn't need it because I clicked parentheses too early. Which is awesome, because it makes our lives way easier. And then all of that should be over 3 times the super easy one, -18 x x to the negative third plus plus 3. And I always double check my answers because 9 times out of 10, if I have made a mistake, it's because I did not check to make sure I typed it in right. Which will mess us up on a test, obviously. So I have parentheses. I'm going to check this smaller part first just because it's easier. Negative 18x to the negative third plus 3. All of that's in parentheses. Cool? Cool. Parentheses. Everything's over a 3. 4 outside. 9x negative 2 plus 3x minus 4, all to the 1/3. So that should give us the correct answer. We're correct. And just so that y'all can see it, so that you know it's correct. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next one. All right. I'm going to leave that up for just a second to give y'all a little more time, just in case. Okay. And I'm going to leave this chain rule information at the top and just erase everything else. All right. So, this next one says to find the derivative for the given function. Write your answer using positive and negative exponents. Same thing as last time. We just have an even smaller problem. So this is way easier than the last one. Much less work involved. So we write our problem. F of x equals 3 minus 5x all to the third power. Okay? We're going to work it from there. So remember, our entire thing is going to be what we use for red and only what's inside for the blue. So our red, we move our exponent. So f prime equals 3 times, we leave the rest alone, 3 minus 1 is 2. So that's what we have for our f prime of g of x. Okay? Now our g prime of x is just going to be a negative 5. Okay? So our answer will be, and this one is one of those that you can multiply out, but I'm going to write the entire thing to start with. So 3, and you can even put that in parentheses, it doesn't matter, times what we had originally times negative 5. These two right here can combine because they are by themselves. They are whole integers, numbers, whatever. So we can combine those to make negative 15, and then this stays the way that it was. You cannot bring this into here because you have that x and that square. So our answer should be negative 15 times 3 minus 5x raised to the second. So we're going to try that just to be sure. So negative 15 times 3 minus 5x, that would be raised to the second power. And so that y'all can see, it is correct. Okay. Next question. All right. So it gives us the same instructions, but with h of t instead. I sometimes work mine without it being the t, It depends on what you like. I have a tendency to forget if I don't write the T, however, which just means it's not going to mess you up in Canvas or in the actual test, but it's annoying to have to go back and fix it every single time because it just takes forever. So, like I said, we write our problem. So h of t equals 7t squared minus 2t all raised to the negative third. Okay, same thing we have been doing. So our f prime is going to be the entire thing, or use the entire thing, and our g prime is only going to use the inside. So f prime equals negative 3, because we multiply times the front, and leave everything else alone. And then negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. Our g prime is going to be the derivative of the inside. So 7 times 2 is 14t, because 2 minus 1 is 1, and we don't put 1s. Minus 2, our t would drop off because there's an understood 1. Okay, so then we do the same thing we've been doing. And in this case, it would just be left alone because there is nothing to multiply. There's not another whole number. So it would just be negative 3, 7t squared minus 2t to the negative 4 times 14t minus 2. And you could put parentheses around this entire thing. It really doesn't matter, I don't believe. As long as you have the parentheses around the second part, you should be fine. So we're going to put that in and see if we got it right. And so that y'all can see, it is correct. Okay. Great. Now I am going to stop this one right here to give me a chance to work on the next problem, just so that I make sure I do not give you incorrect information. So I will work on posting this video while I'm working on that one. Okay?